So let's move into the 6S learning system. Are you interested in finding out how you can learn a lot faster and retain that information longer? Would that be useful, yes or no?
Yes.
Fantastic, great. Would you like to find out how simple it is to apply advanced learning principles and be able to do that immediately right now? Would that be useful, yes or no?
Yes.
Fantastic, great. So, who here has seen the 80s movie The Karate Kid? Anyone seen The Karate Kid? A few people? Who here has not seen the movie The Karate Kid? A few people? Yeah, great. Okay, so if you haven't seen The Karate Kid, I'm going to give you the 30-second rundown. There is a young teenage boy called Daniel-san, and Daniel-san wants to learn karate. So he goes and finds a wise old Japanese man by the name of Mr. Miyagi. And he goes to Mr. Miyagi, he's like, Mr. Miyagi, can you please teach me karate? And Mr. Miyagi sits there and goes, Daniel-san, I will teach you karate. But first, come outside. He takes him outside, and he shows him a big long fence. He says, Daniel-san, you paint the fence. Then I'll teach you karate. And Daniel-san's like, Mr. Miyagi, I'm not going to paint your fence. You came here to teach me karate. Just teach me karate. I'm not going to do your chores. He says, paint the fence. Then I'll teach you karate. All right, I'll do it. So he's painting the fence. He spends hours painting the fence up and down. He saw his ties, got paint all over him. He goes inside, he's like, Mr. Miyagi, I've finished painting your fence. Can you now please teach me karate? Mr. Miyagi says, Daniel-san, I'll teach you karate. But first, come outside. He takes him out the other side and he shows him all these old cars. It's like, first you wax on, wax off. Then I'll teach you karate. And Daniel-san's up in arms and he's like, Mr. Miyagi, I'm not going to do this. Like, they're old cars, they don't need to be waxed. They're out in the weather. I just painted your fence. You should teach me karate now. Wax on, wax off. Then I'll teach you karate. All right, I'll do it. Really wanted to learn karate, so he's waxing on, waxing off, waxing on, waxing off, waxing on, waxing off. He saw his ties got wax all over him. He goes inside and Mr. Miyagi teaches him karate. Now, Mr. Miyagi is a very wise man. He knows that the most effective way to train someone in any skill is to train them unconsciously first and then to give them the conscious learning. And so, unbeknownst to Daniel-san, is when he was painting the fence, he was training his body to block in a particular style. And then when he was waxing the cars, he was again learning, his body was training to block in a certain style as well. And so then when Mr. Miyagi trained him consciously, he already understood it unconsciously. And when you combine unconscious learning with conscious learning, people's competency skyrockets. It surpasses just conscious learning. Now, admittedly, and probably one of the unfortunate things is most schools teach people consciously. It's just like, here's the stuff to learn. This weekend, I'm going to be a little bit like Mr. Miyagi. I've got my car outside. You want to come outside? No? No one ever wants to wax my car. Now, this weekend, I'm going to be a little bit like Mr. Miyagi. I am going to train you unconsciously before I train you consciously. I'm going to ask you to do some things, and in some cases, I'm not going to explain why. I'm not going to explain why I'm going to ask you to do it. I'm just going to ask you to do some things, and I'm going to ask that you trust the process. You trust the process, you go through it, you do the best you can, and then at the end, I will give you the conscious learning. I'll always give you the conscious learning at the end, but sometimes, if people reverse that, have you ever heard of someone getting analysis paralysis? Anyone heard of that before? It's where people overthink things. They overcomplicate it because they're being told consciously what's going to happen. They're like, well, first this is going to happen, then that's going to happen, then that's going to happen. And they're already sitting in their seat going, oh my God, but what am I going to do when I get to that? Like, how's that going to affect me? And what will I do at that step? And they overthink things, as opposed to just going through it authentically, and whatever you feel is what you feel, and whatever you learn from it is what you learn, without having any preconceived idea as to what's going to happen at the end. And so, that's what I'm going to do this weekend, is teach you unconsciously first, and then give you the conscious learning at the end. Is that fair, yes or no?
Yes.
Fantastic, great. Okay,